Level 1. The applicant. You're sitting in your apartment on a Friday night, scrolling through job listings as an unemployed graduate in international relations, a minor in Arabic that your advisor once said would open doors. 31 applications in 2 months. Consulting firms, think tanks, NGOs. Every one of them sent out with care. Every one of them met with silence. No calls back, no replies. Just the same empty inbox staring back at you. Then you found it, a listing on a government website. The description was vague on purpose. The salary wasn't listed. There was no office location. There was just a button that said, Apply. You clicked it. You don't know yet what that single click will cost you. The application asks for everything. Every address you've lived at since you were 18. Every country you've ever visited. Every foreign contact you've ever had. Have you ever used illegal drugs? Have you ever been arrested? Do you have relatives living abroad? You spend 3 hours filling it out. You click submit, then you wait. 4 months go by. You take a job at a consulting firm because rent is due. You forget about it. Then one morning, a blocked number calls. A woman with a calm voice asks if you're still interested in the position. She doesn't say which position. She doesn't say CIA. She asks if you can come to Northern Virginia for a preliminary interview. The building looks like any other office park. No signs, no logos. A man in a blue blazer walks you to a room with a table and 2 chairs. 4 hours of questions. Where did you grow up? What languages do you speak? Tell me about a time you persuaded someone to do something they didn't want to do. The questions seem random. They are not. He is building a profile. He is looking for adaptability, comfort with ambiguity, and the ability to lie without flinching. You don't realize you're being tested for that last one, but you are. Then comes the polygraph. Sensors on your chest, your fingertips, your abdomen. Have you ever committed a crime? Have you ever leaked confidential information? Have you ever had contact with a foreign intelligence service? Your palms sweat. You answer honestly because you're convinced the machine will catch you if you don't. It won't, but you don't know that. 6 weeks later, a phone call. You've been accepted into the clandestine service trainee program. Tell your family you got a government job. Don't say which agency. Don't say which building. Don't say anything at all. Your old life ended with that phone call. You just don't know it yet. If this is the kind of story you want to know, subscribe. More is coming. Level 2. The trainee. They send you to a facility in Virginia. Everyone calls the farm. 9,000 acres of forests, swamps, and training buildings surrounded by fences and cameras. For the next 18 months, this is your entire world. 5 in the morning, feet on the ground before your brain catches up. A 5-mile run through Virginia fog so thick you can taste the moisture. Then classrooms, foreign governments, terrorist organizations, something called tradecraft, the CIA's word for spy skills. You learn surveillance detection, the car that's been behind you for 4 turns. The woman who was at the coffee shop this morning and is now on a bench outside your hotel. You learn to see patterns that normal people miss. You learn to disappear. Into a shopping mall, up 3 floors, through a fire door, into a waiting car. 30 seconds. Gone. You learn lock-picking on embassy-grade deadbolts. Safe cracking on government vaults. How to photograph a classified document in under 30 seconds. How to plant a listening device in a pen, a power strip, a picture frame. Then comes the part they don't put in the recruitment materials. You learn to recruit assets, their word for convincing people to betray their countries. You study psychology, manipulation, persuasion. 4 motivations: money, ideology, coercion, ego. Everyone who has ever committed espionage did it for one of those reasons. Your job is to figure out which one and use it. The washout rate is 40%. Some people crack under pressure. Some can't lie convincingly enough. Some discover they have a conscience that won't bend the way the job requires. The ones who make it aren't the smartest or the toughest. They're the ones who can do something morally questionable at 2 in the afternoon and sit down to dinner with their families at 6 like nothing happened. You graduate in the top 15%. They give you a badge, a cover identity, and a posting overseas. You're now a CIA case officer. Level 3. The case officer. Your first posting is an embassy in the Middle East, a country that is technically an ally, practically a question mark. Officially, you are a political officer. Your name is on the diplomatic roster. You have a desk, a computer, a title that means nothing. You attend receptions and dinners and shake hands with government officials while silently cataloging everything about them. Who drinks too much, who complains about their salary, who travels to countries they shouldn't. Your real job is to recruit assets. A defense ministry official who sees classified briefings. A military officer who knows where weapons are stored. A secretary who opens the mail for a general. A driver who listens to his principal's phone calls. Your first recruitment takes 7 months. He is a mid-level official in the Interior Ministry. He has access to intelligence on local militant groups. He also has a daughter who needs surgery that costs more than his annual salary. You meet him through a mutual contact. Coffee, then lunch, then dinner. You build a friendship. You offer to help with his daughter's medical bills. No strings attached. Except there are always strings. 3 months later, you ask him to share some documents. He hesitates. You remind him how much the surgery cost. He agrees. You file a cable to headquarters. Your supervisors are satisfied. The moral weight of what you just did, exploiting a father's desperation to save his child, is something you'll think about later. Right now, you have another target to assess. Level 4, the NOC. They offer you a transfer after 3 years, not to another embassy, to something called Nonofficial cover. NOC, pronounced NOC, the most dangerous assignment in the intelligence community. You will have no diplomatic immunity, no embassy to retreat to, no government ID, nothing connecting you to the United States in any way. If you are caught, the CIA will say they've never heard of you. The State Department will say you're not one of theirs. In some countries, that means a trial. In others, a cell. In others, you disappear, and no one ever finds out what happened to you. They build you a legend, a complete false identity with a backstory, a work history, a social media presence, and a job at a company that is actually a CIA front. The company is real. It has offices and employees and clients. None of them know what it really is. You live your cover 24 hours a day. Your landlord thinks you're a consultant. Your friends think you travel for business. Your family thinks you left government years ago. All communication goes through encrypted channels and dead drops. A chalk mark on a wall, a package taped under a park bench, an encrypted message buried in the code of an ordinary-looking website. You sleep with a packed bag and a passport. Not yours. Under the mattress. You check every reflection for the face that appears too often. You vary your route home every single day. You never use the same cafe twice in the same month. Some days you forget who you actually are. That's when you know you're good at this. That's also when you know it's costing you something you might not get back. Level 5. The Paramilitary officer. They pull you out of NOC work after a close call in Southeast Asia. A local security service started following you. They photographed you meeting an asset in a market. You spotted the surveillance and aborted. But it was close enough that your cover is compromised. You can never go back to that region. They offer you a new path. The Special Activities Center. The CIA's paramilitary division. The people who go where the military can't go and do things that can never be officially acknowledged. 6 months of the most intense combat training on the planet. Small unit tactics, close quarters battle, explosives and demolitions, high-altitude parachute jumps, exiting the aircraft at 25,000 feet, 2 minutes of free fall before deploying the chute, combat diving, survival, evasion, resistance, and escape, where they confine you in a box for days to teach you what captivity feels like before it happens for real. Your instructors are former Delta Force and SEAL Team 6 operators. They don't care about your recruitment skills. They care about whether you can function under fire without getting your team killed. Your first deployment is in a country the United States is not officially operating in. A small team, 4 agency officers and a handful of local fighters whose loyalty is uncertain. You spend weeks in the field sleeping in safe houses and abandoned buildings. You track targets, you call in strikes, you watch through optics as missiles hit compounds and wonder if the intelligence was right this time. Sometimes it is. The target is there. Bad people stop breathing. Sometimes it isn't. The target is somewhere else. And the people in that building were just people. Level 6. The Black Site Commander. They need someone to run a facility that doesn't exist. A black site, in a country that will deny it's there. Inside there are cells, interrogation rooms, medical facilities to keep the prisoners alive. The prisoners are high-value detainees, terrorist leaders, bomb makers, financiers, couriers who know where the networks operate. They were captured in raids across a dozen countries, never formally arrested, never appeared before a judge, no lawyers, no rights, no official existence. As far as the world knows, they vanished. Your job is to extract intelligence from them. The official term is enhanced interrogation, a phrase designed by lawyers to occupy the space between what the law prohibits and what the government requires. Sleep deprivation, lasting 72 hours or more. Stress positions held until muscles fail, and then held longer. Waterboarding. Some of these techniques were legal when you started using them. Some were made legal retroactively by Justice Department memos written in offices with pleasant views and good coffee. You tell yourself it's necessary. You tell yourself the information saves lives. On some nights, you believe it. On other nights, you lie awake uncertain whether you're still among the people doing the right thing or whether that distinction ceased to carry meaning a long time ago. Would you have made the same call? Tell me in the comments. 5. Peak and Cost Level 7. The Station Chief. 15 years in the field. Your body is paying the price. A knee that locks in cold weather from a bad landing. A shoulder that hasn't worked right since a fall in the mountains. Tinnitus that never stops from being too close to too many detonations. You are 44 years old and you feel 60. The doctors say no more field work. They offer you Chief of Station, the senior CIA officer in an entire country. Every operation, every asset, every piece of intelligence flows through you. You manage dozens of offices and hundreds of local sources. You meet with the ambassador every morning. You liaise with local intelligence services. Some allies, some adversaries pretending to be allies. Some assets you personally recruited a decade ago, who are now running their own services. Every success is classified. Every failure appears in newspapers with your name nowhere near it, but your fingerprints all over it. You sleep 4 hours a night. Your marriage ended during your second overseas tour. Your kids are in college. They know you as the parent who is always traveling, always unavailable, always somewhere you couldn't explain. They know the cover story version of you. They don't know the real one. You're not sure you do either. Level 8, the Division Chief. Back at Langley, the building you first entered 20 years ago as a nervous applicant in a cheap suit. Now you walk past the memorial wall in the lobby every morning. 139 stars carved into white marble. Each one represents an officer who died in service. Some of them were your friends. Some of them died on operations you planned. You run an entire division of the National Clandestine Service. Hundreds of officers report to you. Thousands of assets worldwide feed intelligence into your network. A black budget measured in billions flows through accounts that don't appear in any public record. You brief the president. You sit in the Situation Room with the Secretary of Defense and the National Security Advisor and discuss operations that will never be declassified in your lifetime. You recommend targets. You authorize missions in countries where the United States is not supposed to be operating. You sign off on activities that exist in a legal gray area that gets darker the closer you look. You testify before congressional intelligence committees. The real conversations happen in closed sessions with no transcripts. The senators ask questions. You give answers that are true but carefully incomplete. They don't press. They want plausible deniability. You give it to them. Everyone plays their role. The machine keeps running. You are one of the people who keeps it running. You earn $180,000 a year. The person who authorizes covert operations across 6 continents makes less than a first-year partner at a Wall Street law firm, level 9. The ghost. You retire after 30 years. There is a small ceremony in a conference room at Langley. 50 people attend. The director gives a speech about sacrifice and service and the cost of freedom. Your colleagues applaud. Some of them are crying. You receive the Distinguished Intelligence Cross, the highest award the CIA can give. It will sit in a box in your closet for the rest of your life because you cannot display it. You cannot tell anyone what you did to earn it. You cannot tell anyone what you did at all. You sign non-disclosure agreements that bind you until the day you die. Everything you did, everything you saw, everything you know, classified. The truth of your career is a felony to speak aloud. You move to a quiet house in Virginia. You don't have many friends left. The people you served with are scattered or dead. The people you knew before the agency are strangers. You can't explain the gaps, the scars, the reason you check the locks 3 times before bed, or why you sit facing the door in every restaurant, or why you wake at 3 in the morning and walk the perimeter of your property scanning for threats that aren't there. No one takes care of the memories. The assets who were caught and executed because a mole in Washington sold their names. The operation that went wrong in a country you can never talk about. The interrogation rooms. The bodies. The decisions you made at 35 that you can still feel at 60. None of it was officially acknowledged. None of it ever will be. You are a ghost, and when you die, there will be a star carved into the marble wall in the lobby at Langley. No name, just a star. One more anonymous mark in a war that doesn't end. Somewhere right now, a kid in a college dorm room is scrolling through job listings on a Tuesday night. International relations degree. A minor they're not sure what to do with. 30 applications. Nobody called back. Then they find it. A listing with a vague description. No salary, no location, just a button that says apply. They're imagining the action, the intrigue, the importance of it all. They're not imagining the loneliness. They're not imagining the moral weight. They're not imagining the 3 in the morning silence of a house in Virginia, where a retired officer sits alone with memories that will never be declassified. They click apply. They have no idea what they just started. They'll learn. They always do. The cycle begins.